Yo, what's going on, guys? Matthew Haynes here, aka the Clockmaster, and today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Skeleton Crew Episode 2. There's going to be a recap and review continuing from the last video that I posted, so if you are new here and you want to see my thoughts so far on the series, please go ahead and check out my recap slash review and breakdown, whatever you want to call it, for Episode 1. Go ahead and check that out. We're going to here to talk about Episode 2. So Episode 2 starts exactly where we left off, like just no skips, no nothing, just right where we left off in Episode 1, where the kids are clearly terrified about hyperspace. They are not comfortable with this. They're just traumatized. This is a very scary experience for them. They just left their home in this weird ship in the middle of the night. They're supposed to go to school tomorrow, and they have no idea what's going on, just completely out in this weird, vast, empty space. They're seeing all these stars, and they have no idea what to make of it. They don't know if they're stars. They don't know if they're planets. They're just trying to figure it all out. Obviously, they're assuming blame, and they're just giving it right there to Wim, and he denied it. I didn't push anything. I didn't do anything. Oh, this is my fault. You know, typical kid stuff. And again, thought it was cool, but we get to see this really real reaction from them, which I personally, again, appreciated. And then we get this shot of the hallway. We see this droid that we saw earlier in the last episode walk up towards them, and he's looking for his captain. He's trying to figure out where his captain's at, if he got to throw them on the brig. We as the viewers, we can already start to assume that this droid was already part of whatever pirate ship this was. That we are assuming that this is a pirate ship, and that, you know, he was obviously part of the crew, and he's busted. He's trying to figure out where he's at, and obviously turning back on the ship has reactivated him. So clearly that's all that we can guess at this point in the episode. So we get to find out his name is SM-33, and he's pretty much like any other type of a token droid, if you want to say, that Star Wars seems to like to throw in, you know, the comedic relief droid that is there to make you laugh and have quirky lines and to be hilarious and to be funny. So it's pretty evident that, you know, that's his role here in this entire series, at least so far. But obviously he's confused. He's trying to figure out who he is. And Fern, everyone's freaking out, but Fern, this is where we start to see a lot of her strength. She is a leader, and she is pretty independent and a quick thinker and good at coming up and figure, especially when it comes to droids. You know, we saw in the first episode that she already had experiences kind of manipulating the droids into some capacity. She's even mentioned that she's good with droids. So obviously she's trying to figure out how to just kind of play along with this droid and get him, or figure out a way to get themselves home. She was somehow able to convince SM-33 that she defeated his previous captain in battle somehow, and she is the new captain. So he's looking for leadership. He doesn't want to do anything without it. He's programmed to do that, and he's programmed to kind of follow that protocol. So he now recognizes Fern as his new captain. Again, I really enjoyed that interaction in that scene. It shows the kind of strength of the character that she is and how quick of a thinker she is. So I think I'm really looking forward to see what they do with her in the next few episodes as to how she's going to navigate a lot of this. Again, she's not like this expert, you know, escape artist or whatever, but like she just seems that she's really good at thinking really quickly, really good at trying to have the situation under control. Obviously she's afraid, obviously she's scared, but you can see all of that. But it's the way that she's managing the scenario, the way that she's managing the situation just shows a lot of her leadership skills. So pretty cool. So they're trying to get the droid SM-33, they're trying to get him to pilot the ship home. He asked where home was. They said at Aten. He's searching his database, and this is the first instance within this entire series so far that we're starting to learn that at Aten is a bit of a mystery to a lot of people. He doesn't seem to recognize that location in his database. He's searching for it. It doesn't. So you can maybe start to think a little bit that, hey, maybe he's just a busted old droid that doesn't necessarily have, you know, all the up-to-date information. Maybe he's just, you know, his wires are loose in some way. They have to fix them. Yes, he has to get a firmware update or something. Like, I don't know, like there's something going on that, you know, so you can maybe assume that. But this is the first time in the episode where we start to hint that no one seems to know what at Aten is, or they don't believe that it's real. And that's something that we're going to see a lot through this episode. So he mentions a spaceport that he can probably take them to, and obviously because they can't figure out how to get to at Aten, Fern is like, well, take us to that spaceport. Maybe we can meet someone over there that can help us get home. Maybe they might know where at Aten is. Another thing that I wanted to point out in this episode too, as the episode goes on, is that we see his father speaking to the droids that also, again, on that Aten, it seems to be a really droid controlled planet, a really meticulous planet when it comes to having control over almost every aspect of everyday life. So to me in this sequence, it started to hint at maybe there was something suspicious going on at Aten, and that the planet has a lot more sinister issues underneath the surface that a lot of the residents may not even know about. Again, they talked about a barrier. It's seeming so far that people on the outside don't know about this planet. They don't know about this place. So everything just seems a little suspicious and a little weird. So we start to see a lot of that going on in this episode so far. Another really fun thing that I loved about this episode was that Wim starts to explore the ship, and Neel, obviously, he's not comfortable about this. Wim is just like, oh, this is amazing, man. Like, we got all this cool stuff. This could be the room we can sleep in. We got a pirate hat. I think this is when they start to discover, maybe acknowledge that this is a pirate ship. And Neel, obviously, he's afraid of this. He wants to go home. He wants to go back to his family. So you can, again, looking at the first episode, you can see the parallel between the two characters. You see Neel as this character who it comes from a stable home. He has a home that he wants to go back to. Wim wants to run away. It's not that he doesn't care about his dad, or he's just that he doesn't have any attachments necessarily that keeps him home. So for him, this is amazing. We get to have an adventure. We get to go places. We get to do things. But Neel, coming from a more sheltered home, a more loving home, at least what it appears to be like, he misses his family. He wants to go home. He wants to go back to that sense of normalcy for him. So both sides, I can pretty much understand as to where they're coming from. Like, I'm also a person that I love being in my comfort environments, and I like to just kind of be in my shell, and I don't like to necessarily be taken out of my comfort zone. So I can relate to Neel in that kind of way. I can understand why he's feeling this way, and also on Wim's side of it too, I can also understand his need for adventure and why he's embracing this the way he is, because obviously this is everything he's ever dreamed of. So they make it to the spaceport. We're seeing a lot of ships. The sequence and the scene itself is very dark. It's a very sinister looking thing, which again I believe is intentional, obviously, where they're trying to paint the picture of danger. And this is not, and the whole thing that I can think the entire time as I'm watching this episode, or at least this part of the episode, is like, this is not a safe environment for children. They should not be here. I'm like, someone please get these kids home. They don't need to be out here. But yeah, the environment is very adult, a very adult environment. There's people doing all kinds of crazy things in the corner. But again, even the spaceport, just looking at it, I really love the design of the spaceport, how it's laid out. I love the kind of greenish, kind of weird, darker clouds. It's like space clouds kind of hanging out in the back. It seems like to me, it's a really cool design. It's a very Star Wars-y kind of thing. You look, if you play Star Wars Outlaws, you might see an environment like that in there, or maybe in any of the Jedi games, you'll see that kind of environment there. But again, Wim is super excited about this environment. Everybody else is a little bit more cautious. And this is not a sleep on Wim's intelligence either, too, because he pays the ferryman in credits. Now, obviously, this is a first hint that these are really shiny, fresh credits. And the ferryman is like, whoa, you can't understand what he's saying, but it's like, whoa, this stuff is stuff. And this stuff is pricey. And keep in mind, this is the lunch money that was given to Wim in the first episode. So this is lunch money, but to this guy, like, he has a gold mine here. So this is just to paint the picture as to the type of environment that Wim came from. So Wim starts to notice, maybe I should hide this. I probably shouldn't keep this stuff out here. So he hides it in his shoes. So Wim is not an idiot. He's not an idiot. He's not an idiot at all whatsoever. That was really good intuition from him to notice that, okay, I should probably hide this because this seems to be something that people might want. So Wim's intelligence is just that his sense for adventure almost always seems to take over a lot of his choices in the moment. But this was a really, really, really clutch moment from him, because it was like, okay, I need to probably hide this. I'm in a somewhat dangerous environment. It's exciting, but I don't want to get robbed. I should probably hide this. Again, we start to see a little bit more of the environment that they're in. There's people doing drugs in the corner. There's something that appears to be like a nightclub or some type of strip club or some type of something, man. And there's this girl that notices Fern, and Fern is obviously like trying to be the leader here, trying to say, okay, guys, stick with me. We have to like be safe here. We can't just run around and do things like that. So she's, the gang gets separated somehow. And pay attention to that lady, because she notices them this entire time. And again, all I could think about during this entire encounter is like, this is not a safe environment for children. They should not be here. And right after that, the same lady that we saw at the club, she actually came up to the kids and was like, especially Fern, was like, listen, are you guys children? This place is not safe. We need to get you guys home. Where is home? And then this is when we get like another big, answer, like they say at and she's like, come on, you got to give me like a better reason than at like this is a joke, right? Like there's no way you're joking. Like, no, you guys can't be from that place. So again, we were starting to see more and more references that this place just doesn't seem to exist to a lot of people. They think the kids are lying. So it's pretty evident that's what's going on here. Another thing to really notice about that entire sequence as well is that Fern, later on, Fern is not necessarily too trusting of this woman. She's like, oh, you could be trying to kidnap me. How am I supposed to know that, that you're trying to help me or not? So that again shows that her situational awareness is really, really high, and she's good at noticing that, okay, maybe this might not be this woman might not be the type of person that she claims to be. She could be just, trying to kidnap me, and which is very possible too. She could have been trying to kidnap them. You never really know. Sell them to the huts or something. We really have no idea what she was trying to do. But on the surface, it seems as though she was trying to help them, which, again, she has to look out for herself. She doesn't know who this woman is. Now we start to see some issues with Wim and Neel trying to buy a meal. They use the credits again, and the server notices that, hey, this is some really shiny credits. Where the hell you got this from? Atten gets mentioned again, and everyone's just like, man, stop the BS, bro. Like, there's no way you guys are from Atten. Like, there's no way you guys are from there. So obviously, they're gonna want to see if they have more credits. These are pirates. They want money. Right, so they're like, listen, I don't know who you guys are, but we're gonna take your money. So Wim again uses his resources in front of him, throws the food up, creates a distraction, tries to run away. And this time they're running away. I'm like, okay, somebody has to come in and save them. Fern steps up. She takes her little pistol that she had on her already, and she's trying to threaten this pirate. Obviously, the pirate can tell, like, okay, she's never done this before. Like, she's new to this. She doesn't know what she's doing. Let's play along, whatever. Obviously, he's able to easily grab the pistol away from her. And then SM-33 comes in and says, oi, take your hands off my captain. He comes in and he has a pretty cool action sequences. Beats the absolute crap pretty much out of everybody that was there. And obviously, we can tell he was real scrappy back in the day. He got this little limp. Like, you see a guy boxing and he has that limp coming up to you. If he wants to box you and he's limping like that, bro, run away from him, okay? Because he's gonna beat you. He's gonna check you real fast. But yeah, he pretty much defended the mess out of them. And then after that, he gets disabled by the character. And then also, before we even get to that, I keep remembering we got a little cameo from Jaleel White. I was not expecting to see Jaleel in this at all whatsoever. So that was pretty funny. That was pretty cool. But yeah, anyways, SM-33 gets disabled, and by a character that we saw in the first episode, this kind of wolf-looking guy. I'm not too familiar with that character, so if someone has seen him before in the comic books or in any other media, please let me know in the comments down below if he's a familiar face. He wants to know how they got through the spaceport. How did they pass the guns? So again, this is showing signs that this ship obviously has some major association. This might be, and I had a prediction that I thought that the masked man in the first episode was actually really just Jude Law, and he's been imprisoned, and that was his ship and it got away somehow. I don't know, but clearly this ship has associations with this place, and which would explain how they were able to get through. So the kids get imprisoned and they're trying to figure out an escape plan. This little fur rat thing that they had in the ship, they're trying to get it to come out, and then we hear that in this little jail cell that there is a man just talking, a hooded man in the hood, just talking to them, and says the distance between us and the key is an illusion. And really hard line. It's walking through, seeing the shadow, and then we see the all-awaited Jude Law show up. And it's revealed to us that he is a Force user. Now, Wim assumes that he is a Jedi. He assumes that he's a Jedi because obviously he knows a Jedi to be Force users and the Sith to be Force users. So anybody can be a Force user. Doesn't have to be a Jedi. Doesn't have to be somebody Jedi trained. And we've seen a lot of comic books like this, a lot of books where there's a lot of characters that were very much like that. They could use the Force, but they weren't Jedi and they weren't trained by Jedi. So we have no idea, at least by episode 2, we have no idea if Jude Law was actually trained, was a trained Jedi. We don't know if he was a Padawan, someone that escaped and had a Jedi, had a master, and we have no idea what he is or if he really is a Jedi. He could just be a Force sensitive person that ended up being a pirate, and maybe he can use the Force to a very small degree, like being able to move keys and things like that. Now, it begs the question, why didn't he try to leave before? Maybe he just didn't have a way off. And maybe, you know, obviously hearing these kids in here, you know, with the ship, it offers him a way out of the planet. So we know that he's going to be on the ship and everything like that. I'm assuming that this is his ship and that SM-33 is his droid. I'm assuming that that's where they're going with this. So we shall see what happens with that. But overall, my thoughts for episode 2, I feel like it showed a little bit more of higher stakes and a little bit more of a darker tone. It still kept a lot of the childlike friendly undertone that it had. But I feel like overall, it showed a little bit more of a dark, more serious tone, especially when Jude Law's character came in and the pirates and interacting with them and how dangerous this world is and the secrets about Aten not necessarily being a real place or a place of legend. It's being painted as this mythical place of fortune, this golden city, if you will, you know, or this golden planet that these pirates, at least to the pirates, this golden place. Maybe pirates landed on there somehow and couldn't get out because of the barrier. We really don't know. Another key moment that I really was able to take away from this was Fern as a character, and again, her intuition and also Wim's intuition. So these kids are very, very smart. They're very, very, very intelligent, but they're still children. So they're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna make naive things. They're gonna make naive choices. But we get to see a little bit more of these characters and how they progress and how they think and how they behave, how they process through things. SM-33, again, the comedic relief, the token droid that also adds some comedy, but also shows he's going to be a lot of the action factor here, because we're not going to have these kids just popping off like that. But it was pretty entertaining. Overall, to sum my thoughts for episode 1 and episode 2, just kind of summing it up in this video because I said I was going to do that in the last video, I feel like it was a pretty strong, like, grounded start to the series. I feel like overall it feels like a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I know it's kind of easy to say that, and I don't know how other people feel about the series at the moment, but at least just going off of my personal opinion, I am satisfied with what I am seeing. Again, my personal thoughts, I have a little bit of bias in the sense that I can relate to some of the perspectives from the children, more specifically Wim. But objectively speaking, I feel like it was a pretty solid start to the series. There's still a lot of question marks I have as to the overall production of it and the overall quality of it. I felt the score was okay as well. There was nothing that really stood out to me. I know it's Michael Giacchino's child, his son, that actually made this score. It wasn't a bad theme, it wasn't a bad ambiance, but I felt like musically it was just kind of okay. Again, I haven't really heard anything. There's only 2 episodes so far out of the 4 that are currently out at the time of me recording this video, so I can't really have a hardline stance on it yet until I get there. But overall, I still feel like it's okay musically, and nothing really, you know, I'm a little bit biased to Ludwig Göransson as well, like his tracks with The Mandalorian, the music that he did with that. So I'm a little biased in that, but again, the music is fine. It just wasn't anything that really grabbed me initially. But I think the main takeaway to have from this is the children's perspective, their perspective on how they view the Star Wars world, how do they fit into this crazy, scary universe, and how their perspectives will shape a lot of things. I think those are the main key factors to really take away from Skeleton Crew, at least in the first 2 episodes. So that's pretty much it for me and my thoughts on how I sum up these 2 episodes. I'm going to do a recap and a review for the next 2 episodes as well. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I'll see you in the next one. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with how I'm feeling about the series overall? Do you think that the series is okay? I think right now, just off of 2 episodes, I'm giving it like a 6.5, maybe 7 out of 10. I don't think it's the greatest Star Wars thing I've ever seen, but I'm not disappointed with it so far. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Clockmaster out.